All right, what's going on, guys? Today, we're going to be arguing which is better, prepared spellcasters or known spellcasters in D&D 5e. And we're going to be separating them into two separate categories, being mechanical and roleplay benefits. So, let's get right into it. So, we have our cleric, druid, wizard, paladin, and artificer. You love them, you know them, I love them. But these guys, they're prepared casters. And our bard, ranger, warlock, and sorcerer, those guys are known casters. But what the heck is the difference? What's the difference? So our group A classes, the, cleric, druid, wizard, etc., are the prepared casters, which means that essentially they can change out their spells every time that they long rest, and they're able to choose different spells based on that. And our other classes, being our bard, ranger, warlock, sorcerer, are our known casters, meaning that they can only change out their spells when they level up, not every time that they basically go to sleep and wake up. Prepared casters they essentially have access to every spell they know, but they're limited to a certain number decided by their class level and stats that they can choose each day. And the known casters, well, there's nothing, we already talked about it. They also are limited to a certain number of spells, similar to the prepared casters, but those spells are set once they level up, and they do not change. You can only change them once you level up, or honestly, if you do talk to your DM about it and you're like, wow, dude, I really hate this spell, I really want to change it out. Hopefully, if they're not a dick, they'll say yes. But it's a lot more limiting. Anyway, let's get into the more mechanical differences first before we talk a little bit about roleplay. So mechanically, when not taking other class abilities into account, this simply makes prepared casters more versatile. They don't have to be afraid of taking weird or niche spells, because if those spells aren't useful or they don't like them, the player can just change them out the next day. When players also have time to prepare, they can make specific spell choices to fully maximize their casting potential and to, either do the most amount of damage or help their party, whatever's most beneficial to the character they're playing. This, however, can make prepared spellcasters harder to play, as you have to familiarize yourself with more spells and actively put in the work to change them out. There have been plenty of times where people I know will play a prepared spellcaster and not once change their spells out, because it's simply easier to just not change them out. This is where our known casters come into play. Known spellcasting is easier to understand and master, and just less work as a player if you're trying to maximize potential. You can take the best of the best spells, to give an example, being fireball, like counterspell, whatever it is, and not worry about having them be useless or unnecessary at any point in time. Because you have to learn less spells. You only need to understand what's on your spell list, and you only have to look at those other spell choices when you level up, not every time you're getting a new spell, which could be every day potentially. So personally, I think known full caster classes, or just known casters in general, are going to be better suited for newer players who want to play a spellcaster. This isn't always the case, but through my experience, this is what I've found to be generally true, but there's always exceptions to the rule. And the reason for this, it's just less information, and it's less crunchy. With prepared casters, you can get a little bit more crunchy, but you do have players, like I did give this example, some players just want to play a prepared spellcaster, and they're not going to change out their spells, but they're also not utilizing their full potential of the character. But if that's how you want to play it, then just play it that way. These are all just my opinions, so yeah, feel free to let me know what you think in the comments below. So now those are the main mechanical differences. So let's get into roleplay a little bit. So for some casters, it makes sense that they would be able to change out their spells because of the way they connect to magic. For example, Druids make great prepared spellcasters because nature is constantly changing, and with that, they're able to tap into nature and change their magic as well. While on the other side of things, it makes sense for sorcerers to be known casters because their magic is innate and comes from within their bloodline or themselves, so naturally it would fluctuate less even when you have something like wild magic that is supposed to be more chaotic. While the aspects of casting magic might be chaotic, the spells innately within them are not going to be that chaotic, if that makes sense. So this is how I would organize known and prepared casters based on roleplay elements. This is just my opinion. It would take a long time for me to explain all of the different roleplay elements that went into this and how I thought about it. But overall, I just tried to do it whereas casters who have magic from within them, or if they are gaining it from another source, but they may not have a great relationship with that source. I'll get to that in a second. But for our known casters, we have Sorcerer, Paladin, Ranger, and Warlock. And the reason I put Warlock on here is because I think it depends on the patron if a Warlock should be a known or prepared caster. And I know this might be a little difficult to manage for DMs. So I'm not saying you have to do this, but this is just how I would organize it. And I think just having Warlock as a as a known caster, makes them, how should I say this, more stable, I guess. While I think because Warlocks have a lot going for them, and I think if you had a Pact of the Tome Warlock, they would be really, they would be suited to be a prepared caster, but a Pact of the Blade Warlock might not be as suited to be a prepared caster. They would probably be better as a known caster. So that's kind of why I put them in the known casters. And I feel like they just rounded out the category because they could be either or, but I feel like the majority of the time, because of Hexblade and Pact of the Blade are the most popular options, majority of time they would fit better as known casters, but that's not always the case. For prepared casters, we have Cleric, Druid, Wizard, Artificer, and Bard. So I went with these because I feel like these are casters that are tapping into themselves, or they learn their magic from others. It's not something that's necessarily very innate. Like with Bards, they're going to draw their magic from performing or creating or storytelling. And that's something that they are creating. Similar thing with the Artificer. Their magic is coming from their creations, and they may be magically innate, but they're also drawing their power from creations. So that's kind of why I did that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'd love to know your thoughts on that, especially comparing them to how 5e has the classes organized currently. So for my final thoughts, while I do think prepared casters have a mechanical advantage, I think both casting styles are fundamental to the game and make different caster classes feel more unique and varied. With all the changes 1D&D has presented, I hope they continue to support different casting styles, but for now, let's just enjoy 5e and what it has to offer. Thanks for watching. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. I hope y'all have an amazing and wonderful rest of your day, and it's filled with smiles. Bye!